The RWL Sweet Revenge 2025 Summer Tour begins Monday, June 30th, right here on the RWL YouTube channel. Hi out there, RWL Wrestling fans. Welcome to the new and improved RWL Southwest Wrestling. I'm Chicago Danny Awesome, and joining me will be Regional Manager Gene Berry and our benefactor Hangman Tex Lynch, the General Manager of RWL Snarl. As you can see, we got a beautiful new layout. Everything brand new and good.
Look at it, Danny. It's absolutely beautiful. A far cry from the primitive stone knives and bear skins we were working with, Tex. I can't thank you enough.
Well, I understood the situation, Gene, and Scott Bell was making things difficult and making things hard for you guys, so I decided to step in, intercede on your behalf, and now you got a beautiful new layout. Everything's gorgeous.
And above all else, Scott Bell has absolutely no authority whatsoever. I am the man who makes the decisions. The buck stops with me. Again, thank you so much, Tex.
Yes, sir. No more rinky-dink satellite TV network for you guys. All right, guys, let's get the show on the road here. RWL Southwest starts with our opening contest tonight. Tyler Bate set to go one-on-one against the Unholy Trinity's Big Bob Duncombe, accompanied by Dirty Dutch Mantell and Primetime Bobby Mills.
Welcome to RWL Southwest Wrestling. Our opening contest tonight set for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first, from Dudley, England, weighing 175 pounds, Tyler Bate.
All right, fans, now some of you may remember Tyler Bate from his previous employment with World Wrestling Entertainment, where he didn't make too much of an impact. Well, he's here in RWL now and set to go up tonight against Big Bob Duncombe of the Unholy Trinity.
Tyler Bate's presence in RWL is proof positive, and we firmly believe in second chances for everyone. Tyler Bate is a competent wrestler, a talented individual, and most certainly deserves to compete and perform.
Yeah, well, that mustache mountain gimmick that he was part of did not work out too well. Maybe Tyler Bate will do just fine all by himself here in RWL. Remains to be seen, I guess.
And here's a switch we haven't seen. All three members of the Unholy Trinity together for quite some time, but they are all here tonight. Big Bob Duncombe, Primetime Bobby Mills, and of course, Dirty Dutch Mantell, the manager and leader of the Unholy Trinity.
His opponent, accompanied by Primetime Bobby Mills and Dirty Dutch Mantell, from Austin, Texas, weighing 285 pounds, Big Bob Duncombe.
Now, anybody that knows me knows that whenever you've got an opponent in a match that's from Texas, I usually tend to take their side. But tonight I'm going to have to defer that policy because, quite frankly, Big Bob Duncombe, Dirty Dutch Mantell, and Primetime Bobby Mills, the Unholy Trinity, fundamentally not nice people. No, I suppose not. But Dirty Dutch Mantell, Primetime Bobby Mills, and Big Bob Duncombe all here tonight, and that signals trouble.
It certainly brings to mind the old adage of trouble coming in threes. Dutch Mantell, Primetime Bobby Mills, and Big Bob Duncombe all present at the same time. It is certainly going to signal at least some degree of trouble for Tyler Bate.
Yes, sir, the Unholy Trinity. Now been with us for about 3 years. Dirty Dutch Mantell and his boys, Big Bob Duncombe and Primetime Bobby Mills, have been a huge source of trouble for a couple of years now, and I don't think they're going to stop anytime soon either.
And certainly not under the guidance of Dirty Dutch Mantell, who's obviously the ringleader of these three. Big Bob Duncombe, of course, well, look at this. A rather unusual display from Big Bob Duncombe. Well, now, this should prove to be an interesting matchup.
Ha, Gene, you just said a mouthful, man. All right, Chicago Dan, it is not my turn to be commentating matches, so it's all on you tonight. Should be a terrific opening match for the new and improved RWL Southwest Wrestling. All right, here we go. The ref rings the bell. Duncombe, quickly countered by Tyler Bate into an inverted DDT. Tyler Bate swings and misses with a kick. Bobby Duncombe gonna make him pay for it. Side suplex and a kick to the chest. Big Bob Duncombe with Tyler Bate being rounded up again. A hard right, has him up, nails him with a backbreaker. Tyler Bate catches a kick from Duncombe. Duncombe rounds him up, has him by the trunks, vertical suplex. Big Bob Duncombe with a kick to the chest, firmly in control of Tyler Bate at the present. Hard right to the back of the head. Tyler Bate rounded up by Duncombe. Head first into the turnbuckle a vast number of times. Over and over again, down goes Tyler Bate, face first into the mat. Big Bob Duncombe catches a kick from Tyler Bate and an uppercut. Look at this right here. Duncombe rounds him up. Michinoku driver goes for a cover here. One, but just a one. Bob Duncombe rounds up Tyler Bate. Hard whip to the corner, but Tyler Bate quick with the counter. Rounds up Duncombe. Duncombe slips out, delivers a shot to the midsection. Has Tyler Bate up over the shoulders again. Face first flapjack. Now Duncombe takes himself up to the high rent district. Tyler Bate down on one knee, gets to a standing position. Missile elbow from Big Bob Duncombe. Followed up with a stomp to the back. Big Bob Duncombe drags Tyler Bate towards center. Covers. But again, only just a one count. Big Bob Duncombe follows up with a big stomp to the back of Tyler Bate. A stomp to the shoulder. Duncombe rounds up Tyler Bate again. Tyler with a quick counter. Takes Duncombe down to the mat. Gathers him back up quickly. Look at this spinning heel kick from Tyler Bate. You never would have expected it. Whoa! Did you see that? Slam Duncombe face first to the canvas and going for a cover. One. But just a one. Big Bob Duncombe probably a little bit surprised. Counters with an elbow, gets back up to his feet. Charges and misses with the clothesline. Rounds up Tyler Bate into a dragon sleeper. Shoves him away. Tyler Bate with another kick to the midsection. Look at this right here. Little power bomb from Tyler Bate. Rolls Duncombe over. Covers. One. Two. But only a two. But still, a near fall from Tyler Bate on Big Bob Duncombe. That's pretty impressive. Tyler Bate on a roll here. Delivers a stomp to Duncombe. Rounds him up. Hard whip to the corner. Tyler Bate moves in, catches an elbow from Duncombe. Duncombe's got him up. Another Michinoku driver and another pin. One. But only again just a one. Primetime Bobby Mills and Dirty Dutch Mantell watching as Bobby Duncombe puts in a rear chin lock on Tyler Bate. Really cinching it in there too. Tyler Bate in big trouble here as Bobby Duncombe continues to squeeze. Tyler Bate counters with a kick, gets back up on his feet. Nice monkey toss to Big Bob Duncombe. Duncombe finds his way out onto the apron. Tyler Bate standing there, there we go, here's a charge. But Duncombe counters with a right. Gets back into the ring. Suplexes Tyler Bate. Big Bob Duncombe talking a little trash to Tyler Bate here. Gathers him back up, but again a nice counter, an arm drag from Tyler Bate. Rounds up Bobby Duncombe. A boot right to the face. How about that? Another cover from Tyler. One, Again, just a 1. Tyler Bate, still pretty impressive. Rounds up Duncombe. Countered. And a Lutez press and a series of right hands right to the face of Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate rounded up again by Duncombe. And Duncombe nails him with a DDT. Follows it up with a stomp. Big Bob Duncombe looking a little bit exasperated here. I wonder what's going on. Up, here we go. I think we're going to have a little problem here. Here's primetime Bobby Mills and Dutch Mantel getting into the ring here. Setting up Tyler Bate for a triple power bomb. And he got all of it. Forget it. Big Bob Duncombe goes for the cover hooks to leg 1, 2, 3. Well, Big Bob Duncombe winning this match in a kind of controversial fashion.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time of the fall, 5 minutes and 22 seconds. Your winner by pinfall, Big Bob Duncombe.
Now you see, guys, I knew the minute we saw the 3 of them together it was going to be a problem. Why else would they bring along primetime Bobby Mills except to assist in a triple power bomb on Tyler Bate to give Big Bob Duncombe the 3-count pinfall? There you go. Big Bob Duncombe wins the match with a little help from his friends. There's a lot more RWL Southwest coming up, and we'll be back with all of it right after this brief message. We'll be right back.
As RWL Southwest continues, tag team competition upcoming.
That's right. The Big Boss Man and Bam Bam Bigelow, Law and Disorder, set to face Tito Santana and Rick the Model Martel, Strike Force. Well, looks like Snarl and Rage aren't the only ones with really good Legends Division matchups.
The following tag team contest is set for one fall with a 15-minute time limit. Introducing first, at a combined weight of 656 pounds, the team of Bam Bam Bigelow and the Big Boss Man, Law and Disorder.
Well, I'm pretty sure that you guys know Law and Disorder, Bam Bam, and the Boss Man have been prolific. For the last 18 months or so, they've met just about everybody worth meeting, although this meeting with Tito Santana and Rick Martel is a first-time thing.
Yeah, it's most advantageous for us. The first-time encounter between these two teams is exactly what Southwest needs.
Their opponents, at a combined weight of 510 pounds, Tito Santana and Rick Martel, Strike Force.
All right, the Matador and the Model, Rick Martel and Tito Santana, Strike Force, joining forces again tonight, going up against Law and Disorder. How do you like their odds, Tex? Well, they're outsized, outweighed, but they're not outclassed. They are both technically brilliant wrestlers, and there's no reason that they could not possibly beat Law and Disorder.
Both their track records in single competition are, well, menza, as one might say, but together as Strike Force, Tito Santana and Rick Martel, an extremely effective tag team.
I'm not sure if they can win, but I can tell you this much. Tito Santana and Rick Martel are going to give Bam Bam and the Boss Man a run for their money. Danny, I can almost guarantee you this match is going to get out of hand at some point. When that's going to happen, I couldn't say, but I guarantee you it's going to happen. All right, we got sides chosen up. It's going to be Bam Bam Bigelow and Tito Santana starting this match off. Referee Tom Canamora rings the bell. Bam Bam Bigelow countered into a bulldog by Tito Santana. Followed up with a stomp to the back. A stomp to the shoulder. Tito Santana starting to open up right away on Bam Bam Bigelow. Not wasting any time. Look at this rear chin lock. Bam Bam trying to make it to the ropes. But he's going to have to fight his way out, and he does. Takes Tito Santana down to the mat. Santana counters with a left. Tito flips Bam Bam to his team's corner. Bam Bam with a counter and takes down Rick Martel too. Santana whipped over the shoulder into a Samoan drop by Bam Bam Bigelow. Bigelow with a right and a kick. Tito Santana counters with a kick. Into a Lutez press. Couple of right hands to the head of Bam Bam Bigelow. Tito Santana tagging in Rick the Model Martel. Bam Bam Bigelow brought to a standing position, but whoa, shoulder tackle. Takes him down. Bam Bam follows up with a couple of stomps. He's got Rick Martel. He's flailing like a fish out of water. Look at this. Gut wrench suplex from the Beast of the East. Bam Bam Bigelow drags Martel towards his team's corner. Let's go, and tags in the Big Boss Man. The Boss Man rounds up Martel. Martel counters with a shoulder tackle. Follows it up with a stomp to the leg. Martel drags Boss Man towards center. Boss Man rounds him up, but Rick Martel counters with a shot to the back of the head. A headlock takedown center ring from Rick Martel. And he's got the Boss Man cinched in pretty good. Boss Man rolls him off somehow. Rick Martel drags Boss Man towards his team's corner. Tags in Tito Santana. Boss Man rolled over. Tito with a leg drop. Boss Man back up to a standing position. Whip to the other team's corner. Boss Man counters, finds his way out. Hard whip to the corner for Tito Santana. Tito counters and finds his way out. Big Boss Man whip over the top rope, down onto the floor. Tito Santana moves in on the outside. The referee already started the count. Boss Man rolls back inside the ring. Tito Santana follows him in. Rounds up the Big Boss Man. Whips him to his team's corner. Fails to connect with the shoulder charge. Boss Man whips him to his team's corner. Also fails to connect with a charging move. Tito Santana whips Boss Man to the corner. Nails him with a clothesline, and down he goes. The Big Boss Man rounded back up again. Whoa! Flying elbow from Tito Santana, complete with a kipper. Another stomp to the arm for the Big Boss Man. Tito Santana definitely fired up. That fiery Latin temper of Tito Santana's is already activated. There's another clothesline, putting the Boss Man on the outside. Tito Santana gonna go out right after him. Rounds him up. Boss Man yanks him down by his hair. Big Boss Man countered by Tito Santana. Boss Man counters Santana, not once but twice. Tito Santana counters with kicks to the leg of the Big Boss Man. Follows it up with a series of rights. Boss Man with a chop across the chest. Santana counters, slams Boss Man face first into the floor. Tito Santana rounds up the Big Boss Man. Gets him back inside the ring. Tito Santana, a second too late. Big Boss Man gets a hold of him. Brings him in the hard way with a big suplex. Big Boss Man rounds up Tito Santana into a spine buster. And what a spine buster it was. Wow. Tito Santana counters with a jawbreaker. Tito has the Boss Man up. Beautiful powerbomb with a pin. One, but only just a one. Bam Bam Bigelow gets a hold of Rick Martel. Tito Santana in control of the Big Boss Man. Now we got all four guys in the ring, and it has already gotten out of control, Tex. I told you it was. Just a question of time. Now we got total chaos. Big Boss Man finds his way out of the ring. Tito Santana gonna go out after him. Meanwhile, Rick Martel and Bam Bam Bigelow on the inside duking it out. Boss Man takes Santana down on the outside. Tito Santana counters. Bam Bam Bigelow also finds his way to the outside. Rick Martel makes his way to the outside, makes his way back up to the top, to the apron. Comes back down again. Tito Santana with a series of right hands on the Big Boss Man. Gets him back inside the ring. Bam Bam Bigelow rounds up Santana with a back suplex. Rick Martel returns to his tag corner. The referee continuing to count here. Bam Bam Bigelow looks like he's going to make it to his corner. The Boss Man gets back to a standing position. Goes back out after Tito Santana starts to count all over again. There's a kick from the Boss Man. And a running kick that takes Santana down. Rounds him up by his throat. Tito Santana counters with a series of kicks and shots to the Big Boss Man. An elbow to the face. Another shot. Boss Man countered, taken down to the mat. by Tito Santana with a single leg grab on the outside. And again, referee Tom Canamora counting. Santana, countered by Big Boss Man, gets back up on his feet. Santana counters the kick, turns it into a dragon screw. Tito Santana rounds up the Big Boss Man. Look at this, one arm slam counter from the Boss Man. Rounds up Santana by his throat. Spinning neckbreaker from the Big Boss Man. Boss Man rounds him up. He's got him. Go ahead, Tex.
It's Into the Ring Post time with the title on the line. You can play it anytime, even if you're 99. Into the ring post time, into the ring post time, into the ring post time, into the ring post time.
And we got not one but two. All right, Tito Santana rolls the Boss Man back inside the ring. Rounds up the Big Boss Man. Tito Santana whips him to his team's corner. And Strike Force starts to go to work on the Boss Man in the corner. A series of stomps and a series of blind tags from both Rick Martel and Tito Santana. Laying in the boots to the Big Boss Man. And there's not a whole lot him or Bam Bam Bigelow can do about it. Here's the grand finale, the hard whip. Martel with a leg drop right into the gut of the Big Boss Man, rolls out center ring. Martel covers. One, but only a one. Bam Bam Bigelow right there to spoil the party. Tito Santana whips him out onto the floor. Boss Man's laid out, the referee's laid out. Tito Santana rounds up the Boss Man, gets taken down with a knee. Boss Man covers, hooks the leg, but there's no referee. Tom Canamora just coming back to his senses. Boss Man rounds up Martel. Hard whip to the corner. Here's a charge. Martel ducking out of the way just with a second left. Boss Man whip to the other team's corner. Counters with an elbow to the face of Rick Martel. Has him up into a spine buster. And Big Boss Man thinks he might have done some serious damage to Rick Martel because he's just laid out and Boss Man's just looking at him. Man, what a spine buster that was. Martel might have been playing possum. Counters with a knee. Goes down for a cover here. One, two. Nearest to near falls. Almost a three for Rick Martel. Misses with the kick. The Big Boss Man goes behind. Rick Martel counters with a couple of elbows. Moves in on the Boss Man. Double axe handle doesn't find the mark. A second clothesline does. Boss Man desperately tags in Bam Bam Bigelow. Rick Martel tussles with Bigelow, gets shoved down to the mat. Bam Bam rounds up Rick Martel. Stretches him over the top rope. Makes his way out to the outside to go after Rick Martel. Boss Man's laid out on the outside. Rick Martel counters with a kick. Gets pitched halfway across town by Bam Bam Bigelow. Martel with a right. And a headlock takedown on Bam Bam Bigelow. Big Boss Man in a seated position on the outside. Doesn't look like he's going to be much good to anybody. Rick Martel rounds up Bigelow. Bigelow counters with a right. A chop. Martel counters. A jab. A hard right to the midsection. Bam Bam counters. This isn't going to be good for Rick Martel. He's got him up. Power bomb on the outside. Rick Martel caught the whole of that one. Martel rolled back inside the ring. Bam Bam Bigelow makes his way inside, catches a kick from Rick Martel. Bam Bam counters with a headbutt. Rick Martel with a neck breaker on Bam Bam Bigelow. Rick Martel slowly making his way up to the top turnbuckle. Bam Bam Bigelow catches a knee right in the chest from Rick Martel. And here's another cover. One, two. Boss Man right there to save the day for his team. Martel steps out a minute. Goes after Boss Man. Drops him off from the apron and onto the floor. Makes his way back inside the ring to go after Bam Bam Bigelow. Bigelow whipped to the opposing team's corner again. Bam Bam counters. Takes down Tito Santana. Gets countered by Rick Martel. Martel misses with the double axe handle. Bam Bam Bigelow has him up over the shoulder. Drives him down. Wow. Bam Bam Bigelow makes his way to the top. Out here it goes. Greetings from Asbury Park. And there's the cover. 1, 2, 3. Well, now, Bam Bam and Boss Man picking up the win over Strikeforce.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time was 12 minutes and 40 seconds. Your winners by pinfall, Law and Disorder.
Well, you know, it took a little while, Tex, but things did boil over and things did get a little bit chaotic. But Bam Bam Bigelow picks up the pinfall win over Rick Martel to give Law and Disorder the win in this matchup. There was no way with these 4 participants that this match was not going to spiral out of control, and it sure as hell did on the outside, on the inside. Referee Tom Canamora hard-pressed to maintain control of this one once it got out of hand. But like you point out, Bam Bam Bigelow picking up the win over Rick the Model Martel to give Law and Disorder the victory.
In summation, a terrific tag team matchup. The outcome was not exactly what we had hoped for.
All right, folks, that's another match in the books. We'll be back with a whole lot more RWL Southwest right after the break. We'll be right back. All right, folks, coming up next, our first and only ladies match tonight, featuring Wendy Richter, former women's champion, all set to go one-on-one against Rockin' Robin, who's been a real sensation lately.
And she certainly hasn't slowed down, not one iota, since we saw her last on Southwest a month ago.
I'm sure she doesn't recognize the place between then and now.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next ladies division match is set for one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first, from Plano, Texas, Wendy Richter.
I can't help myself, Dan. I always feel sorry for Wendy Richter. Having won the Women's World Championship in WWE all those years ago, only to have it taken away again by the fabulous Moolah in disguise.
That was a nasty break for Wendy Richter, Gene, but she has definitely gotten over it, and she's all set to go one-on-one tonight with Rockin' Robin. And you ain't kidding, Danny, she's been pretty hot.
Her opponent, accompanied by Jake Roberts. From Charlotte, North Carolina, here is Rockin' Robin.
This latest addition to the Ladies Legends division has been absolutely revolutionary. Rockin' Robin, with her straight scientific technical skills only, has done really well. She hasn't dropped a match yet.
Which I'm almost certain is going to create an opportunity for Rockin' Robin to get a title shot from somewhere.
Yeah, and you know where from. American Powers, holding 4 singles championships between them, Patty Powers and Liberty Bell Danielle Heathcote. So, you never know. All right, Tex, but let's burn that bridge when we come to it. Let her get past Wendy Richter first. Tom Canamora rings the bell, and here we go. The ladies lock up. Wendy Richter goes behind rear waist lock. Snapmare from Rockin' Robin into a rear chin lock. Rockin' Robin drives a knee into the back of Wendy Richter. They lock up. Wendy pushing Robin into the corner. The referee trying to break it up here. Nice clean break from everybody. Okay, here we go. They lock up again. Now it's Wendy Richter being pushed into the ropes by Rockin' Robin. And one more time, Tom Canamora's got to break it up. A nice clean break again. Another collar and elbow tie up into a headlock takedown from Wendy Richter with a hard shot to the face. Jake the Snake Roberts watching his sister work here. A nice fireman's carry, a left from Wendy Richter, a counter from Robin that takes Wendy Richter down to the canvas, and right into an ankle lock, a submission almost right out of the gate practically. Wendy Richter struggling to make it to the ropes, but finds a way out somehow. Wendy back up on her feet, pushes Robin into the corner. Robin counters, pushes Wendy into the corner. Wendy pushes Robin into the corner again. Wendy pushed into the corner by Robin again, said, "I'd had enough of that, there's an elbow for you." And a series of hard right hands after a Lutez press. Wendy Richter rounds up Rockin' Robin. A wicked knee right to the head, and down she went. Wendy Richter might have just knocked Rockin' Robin out. Hang on a second. Here's a cover. 1, 2. Just about a 2 count. Wendy Richter can't believe it. I'm pretty sure she figured she had this one. She's stalking Robin. This could be bad. Rockin' Robin stops the kick. Takes Wendy Richter down to the canvas. And right back into the ankle lock a second time. Even further away from the ropes. Wendy Richter in big time trouble here. Has to find her way out of the hold again. Back up on her feet. Misses with the running elbow. Delivers a kick that pushes Rockin' Robin into the corner. A clothesline that takes her down to the mat. Wendy Richter rounds up Rockin' Robin. Sets her up for the vertical suplex. Robin fought to her feet again, but a nice arm drag counter from Rockin' Robin. A counter from Wendy Richter. Look at this. Rockin' Robin has her up for a pinning powerbomb. How about this? The ref counts 1, 2, 3. Well, now that's a wrap. That was quick. Rockin' Robin picks up the win over Wendy Richter.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time of the match, 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Your winner by pinfall, Rockin' Robin.
2 minutes and 18 seconds. For those of you who do not know, that was Rockin' Robin's fastest match yet. Wrapping up Wendy Richter in 2:17, and you just gotta be impressed with that, especially after Wendy Richter damn near had this match won. I was kind of sure she did. I figured after that driving knee, Rockin' Robin was done, but she managed to kick out somehow, and it is what it is. Rockin' Robin picking up the win over Wendy Richter with that pinning powerbomb in 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Just wow. Folks, we still got a whole lot more RWL Southwest coming up, and we'll bring it all to you right after these words.
On the last RWL Rage, MJ Ferrantino shocked everyone, including Scott Bell, by not only taking Lars Sullivan, but introducing Gene Snitsky.
Hi, Dick Nose. You know, you did a really stupid thing, not only mistreating Lars Sullivan, but just tossing him aside like trash. I decided to take you up on that challenge. Now, he's gonna need a lot of deprogramming and chew to get him back to working singles again. So for now, I paired him up with Gene Snitsky, and these guys are gonna slap a do not resuscitate sticker on the Revival tonight. And I'm just getting started with you, Bell. I'm going to war with your monkey ass.
Is that right? Listen, you sanctimonious sunbish. The Sweet Revenge Tour starts in the Southwest. My part of town. You and your whatevers will be on our terms, so bring it. You geek jag off.
Well, Matthew James Ferrantino certainly taking the fight to Too Short. Tonight, he brings the Texas Hangman to face Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, the Revival.
It did not take very long for Ferrantino and Too Short to get into it, did it? Nope.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next tag team match is set for 1 fall with a 15-minute time limit. Introducing first, accompanied by Matthew James Ferrantino at a combined weight of 610 pounds, Killer and Psycho, the Texas Hangman.
Now that I've got you here, Tex, I've always wanted to tell you. I've always been amazed by the fact that you succeeded in bringing the Texas Hangman back from oblivion.
Yeah, you like that, huh? Killer and Psycho, they were my favorite tag team growing up in the AWA. So I hired 2 guys, put masks on them, and you're the new Texas Hangman. Boom! Yeah, I'll bet you're looking forward to seeing them take on the Revival.
Their opponents, accompanied by Too Short Popeye Scott Bell at a combined weight of 440 pounds, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, the Revival.
It don't take a private eye to tell you that the Revival and Too Short are both really salty about that Gene Snitsky and Lars Sullivan thing the other night.
Oh, give me a break. When is Scott Bell not salty?
Well, we've said it before, Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder, the Revival, obviously some very talented individuals, but under the wrong guidance of Too Short Popeye Scott Bell. And I'm pretty sure that the Texas Hangmen are going to give these boys what for.
So, Tex, exactly how closely are you and MJ Ferrantino in collaboration?
I wouldn't exactly call it a collaboration, Gene. I'm more of a financier of Mr. Ferentino's stable, and he's done really well so far. I have no problems helping him out because, well, he's an up-and-comer, and he's real intelligent. You know, I've heard it said that Ferentino is basically Scott Bell if he was a human being. And an intelligent human being. And we know that ain't possible.
Scott Bell fascinates and repulses me at the same time. He's the textbook definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yeah, that's Scott down to a T. He's been playing that same record for the last 15, 20 years or so. Can you believe that man was once actually in charge of the entire RWL? That's a horror story, and I don't want to hear it, Tex. I'd rather hear about Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment. Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment? Damn, Dan. That's some serious business. Well, yeah, MJ Ferentino and Too Short Popeye. Two slabs of the same weird coin, but at least Ferentino's a likable guy. Oh, man. Well, they took a beating at the hands of Snitsky and Lars Sullivan last time. Let's see how they do against the Texas Hangman.
I think Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder are about to catch a serious beating.
You know, I don't think I'm ever going to get over how much louder this place is than that 2,000-seat TV studio we were working. Dash Wilder and Killer starting us off as Tom Canamora sounds the bell. Killer rounds up Dash Wilder over his shoulders. Face first, pancake to the mat. Dash Wilder gathered up again. Counters. Whips Killer into the corner. He rebounds out, catches a knee. And all the way up for the vertical suplex, but a counter. Killer takes him down with an elbow. And Dash Wilder catches a fist drop from Killer. And a kick to the back. Dash Wilder. Oh, a hard shot to the midsection. Michinoku driver for good measure. Look at this. Dash Wilder counters with an uppercut. But this sets it up, set up a knee break. Wow. Dash Wilder dragging Killer towards the middle of the ring. What's he got in mind here? He's going to tag in Scott Dawson. Too Short Popeye, Scott Bell standing ringside as Killer turns a dragon screw on Scott Dawson. Dawson counters the kick. Delivers another dragon screw. Killer blocks the kick. And a dragon screw again. Oh, nobody blocked the kick that time. Killer nailed it. Killer escorts him to the corner. Here comes Psycho on the tag. Scott Dawson catches an elbow to the face. Up over the shoulders he goes. Flapjack, face first to the mat. Psycho counter with an eye gouge. Scott Dawson looks like he's going to take Psycho to his corner. But Psycho, with a couple of elbows, says, I'd rather not if you don't mind. Scott Dawson counters. Inverted DDT. Followed up with a stomp. Oh, Too Short likes that. Psycho whipped to the corner. A clothesline. Scott Dawson rounds him back up again. Whips him right back into the corner a second time. Another clothesline. Scott Dawson whips Psycho to the ropes. Fireman's carry from Psycho. Scott Dawson counters with a right. Whips Psycho to his team's corner. Yeah, he's getting fired up. Scott Dawson counters. Scott Dawson counters. Arm drag from Psycho. Snap suplex from Psycho. Followed up with a stomp to the chest. The Texas Hangman, at least in control right now. Flip over neck whip to Scott Dawson. Oh, obviously they're in control, otherwise Too Short wouldn't get involved. Scott Dawson takes advantage of the distraction, delivers a knee breaker. Psycho laid out in the Revival's corner. Too Short taking himself a walk towards the apron. You know what's coming. He's going to get a chair. There's a kick from Dash Wilder, who's been tagged in. There's the chair. Psycho rounds up Dash Wilder. Uppercut from Dash Wilder. Psycho whipped to the far corner, but escapes the corner. Tags Dash Wilder with a right. Dash Wilder counters the suplex, turns it into a neck breaker. Too short. Manipulating the turnbuckle. Tom Kanamura got to fix it. Now he's distracted. Psycho, again, refusing the invitation to the Revival's corner. Psycho. Countered by Dash Wilder. Inverted DDT caught him right on the chair. On the back of the head. They've already cheated. Here's a tag. Scott Dawson comes in. Psycho taken down to the mat. Dash Wilder sets it up, and there's a stomp to the knee. Oh, I'm sorry, Tex. Revival's giving the Texas Hangman a pretty tough time. Yeah, well, so far, too short again. That son of a... Scott Dawson using another distraction to keep Psycho on the mat. Followed up with a stomp and a fist drop. And I think Scott Dawson just busted him open. Too short, looking very smug right about now. Dawson whips Psycho to the corner. Psycho steps out. Whips Scott Dawson to the Texas Hangman's corner. Scott Dawson escapes the corner, follows up with an uppercut. Rounds up Psycho. Psycho whipped to the Revival's corner. There's another clothesline, and down he goes. Scott Dawson whips him into the corner again. Psycho finds his way out. Whips Dawson to the Texas Hangman's corner, delivers the clothesline in retaliation, and down he goes. Psycho stalking Scott Dawson here. Up over the shoulders. Michinoku driver with a pin. One. Dash Wilder messing things up. Psycho with a right to Scott Dawson. Scott Dawson counters, and we lost the referee in the process. I didn't even see it happen. Psycho whip to the Revival's corner. The referee coming back to his own here. Psycho misses with the clothesline. Scott Dawson has him up over the shoulders. Hangs him up off the top rope. Psycho rolling his way to his team's corner. Tags in Killer. Misses with a clothesline that would have took his head off. Scott Dawson with a Dragon Sleeper on Killer. Delivers a series of shots. Gets him back up over the shoulders again. Psycho says, no you don't. Implant DDT from Killer. The Texas Hangman firing back here. Another DDT. Head first into the canvas, and Too Short Popeye gonna get involved again. Scott Dawson catches 2 DDTs. Not gonna make the distraction this time. There's a hard shot from Killer. A knee to the gut. Scott Dawson countered again. Slaps the hand away. Up over the shoulders. He goes one more time. Another Michinoku driver. And here's another pin. One. Dash Wilder. One more time. Psycho gets rid of Dash Wilder, or tries to. Has him up over the shoulders. Scott Dawson, meanwhile, is laid out. Another Michinoku driver for Dash Wilder. Killer counters Scott Dawson. Clothesline. Drops Scott Dawson. Dawson counters with a leg sweep. Now he's setting up a submission. Referee Tom Kanamura checking on Killer. Killer gonna find his way out. Gets the leg loose. Nails him with a right to the face. Scott Dawson catches the hard whip over the rope out onto the floor. He's not moving, barely. Killer takes it to the outside. Scott Dawson with a couple of kicks to the leg. Misses with the clothesline. Scott Dawson catches a right from Killer. And a shot to the gut. Killer's got him up. Scott Dawson catching the lip of the apron head first. Killer with a series of rights and a kick to the gut. Scott Dawson goes back inside the ring. Here comes Killer. Scott Dawson whips him to the corner. Dash Wilder with a little help here. Psycho with a headbutt on Scott Dawson. Scott Dawson whips him back into the corner. Here's a tag to Dash Wilder. He's got the leg trap. And Dash Wilder delivers the kick. And now an alley-oop out of the corner from Scott Dawson as Dash Wilder takes over, going for the cover. But Psycho right there to break it up. Scott Dawson catches a shot to the back of the head. Killer getting back up on his feet. Scott Dawson catches Psycho with an inverted DDT. Dash Wilder with a top wrist lock on Killer, but Killer nails him with a series of shots to the gut. Dash Wilder counters. Nice wrap-around neckbreaker from Dash Wilder. Killer goes up over the shoulders. That's a nasty backbreaker. This match has gone on for a little bit now, and still no near to a winner. Killer with a clothesline. Takes down Dash Wilder, and again, Scott Bell gonna get involved as Scott Dawson makes the tag. Just nails him with a right while he's arguing. Oh, man. Unbelievable defense. This match should have been thrown out. Killer trying to make his way to the corner. Scott Dawson catches an elbow. Again, Scott Bell distracting Killer. Scott Dawson opens up with a series of right hands. Scott Dawson takes Killer towards center. Winds him up, sets him up for the submission again. That leg lock. Killer unable to make it to the ropes. He's going to have to fight his way out. Gets the leg loose, tags him with a right, down he goes again. Killer back up, both men back up on their feet now. Up over the shoulders goes Scott Dawson. Another Michinoku driver and another pin. But Dash Wilder, again, right there to mess things up. Killer stalking Scott Dawson. Winds up the arm. Scott Dawson counters. Clothesline misses. Killer whips him to the Texas Hangman's corner. Scott Dawson counters. Killer delivers an elbow. Whips Dawson back into the corner. Scott Dawson finds his way out again. Whips Killer to the Revival's corner and a clothesline. Killer rounded up by Scott Dawson. Nasty chop block. That looked painful. Scott Dawson, I'm kind of worn out. We're running out of time here. Scott Dawson with a leg drop on Killer. Too short Popeye. Definitely real happy with what he sees so far. Scott Dawson whips him to the corner. Killer counters with an arm drag. Nails him with an elbow. Scott Dawson doing drag towards center. A flip over neck whip. And again, the referee needs to get Bell the hell out of there. With just about 2 minutes to go, he should have been chucked out of there a while ago. Killer nailed with a suplex by Scott Dawson. Here comes Dash Wilder. Killer makes his way out, makes his way back in. Nails him with a clothesline. Down goes Dash Wilder hard. Dash Wilder with a dragon screw. There's Dash Wilder. Both knees right to the face. What a shot. Dash Wilder drags Killer towards center. Covers. 1, 2. I don't believe it. The Revival with a big-time upset here.
The time, ladies and gentlemen, 19 minutes and 34 seconds. Your winners by pinfall, The Revival.
No, Tex, I am genuinely sorry. I felt the Texas Hangman had this match in the bag, but apparently not a huge upset.
Oh, well, you can't win them all, Gene. But He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day, and Scott Bell will be here tomorrow, and so will we.
I shall hang my hopes on that, Tex.
Well, there you have it. With about a minute and a half to go, the Revival pull off a huge upset over the Texas Hangman, with Scott Dawson getting the pinfall. And quite frankly, I'm stunned speechless. Ladies and gentlemen, our main event is coming up right after the break, so don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back. Well, all right. On the last Rages, you saw MJ Ferrantino debuting Gene Snitsky as part of his stable, and he's part of our main event tonight, as Gene Snitsky, along with MJ Ferrantino, gets set to go one-on-one against Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder, you say? Huh? Well, it's the first time for everything around here.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's main event, one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing first, from Long Island, New York, weighing 224 pounds, here is Zack Ryder.
Well, he's never competed in RWL before. Zack Ryder was offered a main event opportunity, and he certainly didn't want to turn it down, even if it is against Gene Snitsky. I don't much like this cruiserweight's chances.
Well, yeah, Snitsky's a monster, but, and here's the thing, we didn't get to see a whole lot of him in action in that tag team match with Lars Sullivan on Rage. Now here, we got a one-on-one situation, him and Zack Ryder. This is going to be completely different. That's real true, Denny. You can't catch the measure of a guy's art in a tag team match. You got to see him one-on-one with another opponent to really appreciate it.
His opponent, accompanied by MJ Ferrantino from Nescahoning, Pennsylvania, weighing 312 pounds, Gene Snitsky.
This whiz kid's got an arsenal at his disposal, and it's scary. You notice one thing about MJ Ferrantino? Outside of the Texan Ladies Association, he surrounds himself with giants, big guys. Well, that's true. Brent and Quinn Stewart, the Vandal brothers, Hoss and Zodiac, they're all big guys. That's absolutely true.
And now he's added Lars Sullivan and Gene Snitsky to the mix. Certainly the land of the giants where MJ Ferrantino hangs his hat.
Man, I can't wait to see him in action one-on-one, and I can't wait to see what Zack Ryder makes of Gene Snitsky. This is gonna be good, guys. Well, here's a main event you're not gonna see anyplace else. Wow, Gene Snitsky back on the scene. The referee sounds the bell. Kick to the midsection from Zack Ryder. Snitsky winds up Zack Ryder from behind. Twist in the arm, shoves him away. Catches an elbow. Zack Ryder with a standing dropkick that doesn't take Snitsky down. A second one that still doesn't take him down. Wow. Zack Ryder with a series of kicks to the leg. Pitched halfway across the town by Gene Snitsky. Did you see the kid fly? Zack Ryder with an arm drag. Snitsky counters with an elbow to the leg. Clothesline. Takes Zack Ryder down. Gene Snitsky catches a kick. Zack Ryder catches the ropes from Gene Snitsky. Snitsky rebounds and whoa, drives his whole weight into his back and into those ropes. Double stomp to the midsection. Snitsky catches a counter kick from Zack Ryder. Went flying again. Whatever it is he's trying to do, he better stop. Snitsky going for a cover. One, but only a one. Zack Ryder catches a kick to the side of the head from Gene Snitsky. Snitsky rounds him up in a dragon sleeper. Rib breaker from Gene Snitsky. Snitsky, real aggressive here. Hard shot to the side of the head of Zack Ryder. And whoa, what a chop. Right to the base of, right to the top of the skull. Right in the forehead. Zack Ryder charging it up here. Gene Snitsky getting back up on his feet. Whoa, wow, what a leg drop. Zack Ryder covers. One, two, no. Snitsky finds his way out of the pin. Zack Ryder gets himself up first. takes himself to the top turnbuckle. Snitsky laid out just about the middle of the ring. Oh! Both knees right into the gut. Snitsky, one step ahead there. Zack Ryder whipped into the corner. Snitsky pins him up in the corner. Look at this right here. Machine gun punches from Gene Snitsky, followed up with an uppercut. Zack Ryder up out of the corner. Snitsky counter slams him face first into the canvas. Snitsky covers again. 1, 2, nope. Zack Ryder finding his way out at just about a 2. Catches a kick to the back from Snitsky. Snitsky stuck on Zack Ryder again. Hard. Oh, wow, what a series of shots. A flurry of, oh, wow. Oh, and a kick. And another kick. And, oh, man. Did you see him fold? Did you see Zack Ryder collapse? Gene Snitsky drags him to the center of the ring. Covers. 1, 2, 3. It's done.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time was 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Your winner by pinfall, Gene Snitsky.
Oh, man. Poor Zack Ryder. Oh, he got absolutely destroyed. Gene Snitsky ate his lunch. Oh, that was nuts.
Well, we'll have to wait until such time as we see Gene Snitsky compete against larger opponents. Someone his own size, for example, say a Jinder Mahal. This was a good jumping off point. A very solid match for him. Gene Snitsky taking full advantage of Zack Ryder in this matchup. Zack Ryder, outside of a brief display of brilliance, there really wasn't much there. Gene Snitsky absolutely devastated.
You know, Chicago, it's like you said at the start. MJ Ferrantino's got himself a veritable monster island full of monsters. Now, if he ever gets it together on the managerial side and they get their act together on the stable side, that young man's going to give Sylvia Strong a serious run for her money in the future. But to conclude here, Gene Snitsky absolutely trashing Zack Ryder. Unbelievable. Well, MJ Ferrantino focusing on Scott Bell going into summer. Well, that's going to be colorful, ain't it, Gene?
Certainly looking forward to it.
All right, well, before we go, I want to thank Hangman Tex Lynch for spending some time with us here tonight. Coming up next time on RWL is going to be RWL Snarl this Saturday. For all of us here, Chicago Danny Awesome saying see you next time.